Imagine planning your absolute dream vacation, right?
Mm.
You save up for months, you map out every single ride, you finally walk through those gates.
And you are instantly just crushed by a wave of humanity.
Yes, exactly. You get completely derailed by tens of thousands of people who just got a check from the IRS.
It's the worst feeling in the world.
It really is. So welcome to the hidden math of theme park crowds. If you're listening to this right now, consider this your official mission briefing. You are the learner, and today our mission is decoding the 2026 Walt Disney World and Universal Orlando calendar.
Because you really have to decode it. It's not a joke anymore.
No, it's not. We're doing a deep dive to figure out how to maximize your fun, stretch your budget, and most importantly, minimize your time staring at the back of someone else's sweaty head in a massive crowd.
Which is, I mean, it's the ultimate puzzle for anyone who loves these parks. The days of just showing up on a random Tuesday and hoping for the best, those days are completely over.
Oh, long gone.
Yeah. To actually solve this puzzle, we need serious data-backed intel.
Exactly. And the intel we have today is just an absolute masterclass of a breakdown. We're pulling our data from Dev. He's a 10-year veteran travel agent from Key Getaway.
And he's fantastic because he doesn't just guess, he doesn't go off vibes.
Right. He uses historical data to predict exactly how the crowds are going to behave across all of Central Florida.
Which is crucial, because planning a trip without analyzing that historical data is essentially just gambling. You're gambling with your vacation time and, frankly, a lot of your money. You have to understand the underlying mechanics of how these destinations operate.
Okay, let's unpack this, because to put this into perspective, let's just look at the actual calendar. Today's date is March 31st, 2026.
A notoriously painful day.
The irony is almost too much.
Yeah.
Because right now, today, is actually one of the absolute worst times you could possibly be in Orlando.
Without a doubt.
Like, if you are standing in a 2-hour line for a ride while listening to this, you have my deepest sympathies. So how do we go from feeling like helpless victims of these crowds to actually seeing the hidden matrix of theme park attendance?
Well, it starts by adopting a completely different philosophy about consumer behavior. The foundational rule of Orlando, and this is something every seasoned traveler eventually learns through a pretty painful trial and error, is that crowds are never, ever random.
I mean, they certainly feel random when you're stuck in a massive bottleneck near a churro stand.
Oh, for sure. They absolutely feel that way on the ground. But if you zoom out and look at the math, they are tethered to very specific, predictable variables.
What specifically?
We're talking about school calendars, federal holidays, and weekends. And the weekend variable is particularly impactful.
It's of the locals.
Exactly. That's when the local Florida annual pass holders join the massive influx of out-of-state tourists who are, flying in to start their week-long vacations. It creates this massive compounding effect at the turnstiles.
Which brings us back to today, March 31st. The historical data highlights this entire season, so basically all of March through the beginning of April, as an absolute no-go zone.
Yeah, just avoid it completely.
And it makes sense when you think about it, because spring break isn't just 1 week nationally.
Right, that's a really common misconception. Different school districts across the country, different universities, they all stagger their breaks to manage their own local calendars.
So it's not just one big wave.
No, it's a rolling wave of vacations spread across that entire month-and-a-half window. The parks are essentially operating at peak holiday-level capacity for 6 straight weeks.
Wow. But looking at the timeline, there's a trend that happens just before spring break that I found really fascinating. There is a massive crowd spike in late February.
Yes, the late February anomaly.
Right, and I'm looking at the calendar. It's not a federal holiday. It's not spring break yet. The weather isn't drastically different than early February. The data attributes it to tax returns.
Yep, tax returns.
I have to ask you about this because it sounds completely counterintuitive. How does the IRS dictate wait times at Space Mountain?
What's fascinating here is the sheer predictability of human psychology and consumer behavior. When we think about vacation planning, we often assume people are acting purely on logic, right?
Like planning months in advance, checking weather patterns, reading crowd calendars.
Exactly. But a huge segment of the travel economy is actually driven by sudden, unexpected influxes of discretionary income.
The impulse buy. But on a massive $100,000 scale.
Exactly. The moment those tax refund checks hit bank accounts in late February, families look at that lump sum and immediately book impulse trips to Florida.
Just immediately.
Yeah, they have the cash in hand, the winter weather up north is dragging on, and everyone's miserable, and they just pull the trigger. And collectively, when thousands of people make that exact same impulse decision at the exact same time, it completely alters what historically used to be the quiet season of February.
That is wild. The speed at which a tax refund turns into a spot in line for a roller coaster is staggering.
It really is.
So, since we clearly know when not to go avoid March entirely, and avoid late February unless you want to hang out with everyone who just filed their W-2s, let's pivot to the absolute goldmine of this source material.
The sweet spots.
Yes, the data gives us 4 highly specific, deeply underrated sweet spots for 2026.
These are the windows where the math actually works in your favor. It's where the convergence of weather, school schedules, and events creates a natural lull.
Let's start with window number 1, which is right in the middle of winter. The dates are January 15th and February 15th. Why those specific dates?
The cutoff dates are vital here. You have to wait until the 15th of January because you need to stay far, far away from the Walt Disney World Marathon weekend.
Oh,
Yeah, that runs January 7th through the 11th.
right, because a marathon isn't just a race. It brings in tens of thousands of runners, plus all their families who are spectating, plus all the logistical support staff.
It completely clogs the transportation grid. It's a nightmare if you're just there to ride rides.
Make sense?
But once that massive demographic clears out and goes home, boom, the parks empty out. Mid-January to mid-February becomes incredibly quiet.
Nice.
And as a bonus, you get the Epcot Festival of the Arts starting January 16th, which you can actually enjoy without standing shoulder to shoulder with people.
Okay, so if midwinter is great, but tightly bound by marathons and tax returns, and March is totally ruined by spring break, there has to be a gap before the brutal summer heat kicks in.
There is.
That brings us to window number 2, April 20th to May 15th. The travel agent data notes this as a personal favorite secret window.
It's a brilliant window strategically. You are slipping right into this hidden valley on the calendar.
I like that, hidden valley.
Yeah, you are safely past the chaotic rolling spring break season we just talked about, but you're getting out right before the major summer vacation crowds arrive when schools let out in late May.
And we have to talk about the weather. The data points out that this is the ideal meteorological sweet spot.
Oh, absolutely.
You get all the benefits of Florida sunshine before the brutal, oppressive humidity sets in. You aren't melting onto the pavement yet, and you completely avoid the daily 3 p.m. torrential downpours of the summer.
Which naturally transitions us to a slightly more, well, let's call it an adventurous window.
Yeah, window number 3, late summer, August 18th to September 10th. And wait, the source material explicitly says to bring ponchos, umbrellas, and extra Crocs because this is peak hurricane season.
It is.
I'm sorry, I have to challenge this. Is saving an hour in line really worth risking a literal tropical cyclone? You're telling the listener to pack their bags for a vacation that might get hit by a Category 3 storm.
It's a very fair pushback, and on the surface, it sounds completely counterintuitive, I know.
It sounds crazy.
It does, but this is where we have to look at the underlying mechanics of risk management for the seasoned traveler. Yes, it is peak hurricane season. You are absolutely going to get rain.
Lots of it.
But the infrastructure of these resorts, especially Disney and Universal, is specifically engineered to handle extreme weather.
Okay, how so?
Disney essentially operates on its own power grid, with massive reinforced concrete structures and intense contingency plans.
The source literally says to pack your patient pants and a backup plan.
Right, because if a severe storm hits, operations will pause. You might spend a day playing board games in your hotel lobby.
Which isn't the end of the world.
Exactly. You are in one of the safest, most resource-heavy resort bubbles in the entire state of Florida. And here is the psychological mechanism at play. Because the general public is terrified of that exact risk, they stay home. The parks empty out. If you are willing to manage that risk, and you don't mind wearing Crocs and a poncho through some puddles, you can experience the major attractions with virtually zero wait times. It's a gamble, but the payout in stip lines is immense.
High risk, high reward. I can see the appeal for the adrenaline junkies who just want to ride Velocicoaster 5 times in a row.
Exactly.
Let's look at window number 4, the final sweet spot. This is late fall, specifically the first 2 weeks of November and the first week of December.
These are those fleeting moments right before the absolute holiday ambush of Christmas and New Year's.
Right.
And a crucial detail here, For the first 2 weeks of November, you are threading a very specific needle to dodge Jersey Week.
Okay, we need to clarify that because to a general listener, Jersey Week sounds completely made up. What is the mechanism there?
It's a bizarre, highly localized phenomenon. Basically, New Jersey public schools all close for a statewide teachers' convention in early November.
All of them.
Pretty much all of them. And because an entire state's worth of families suddenly has a free week off right before winter, it sends a massive, concentrated wave of tourists straight down the East Coast to Florida.
That is hilarious and terrifying.
It really is. But if you can target the gaps around those specific early November dates, you get to see the spectacular holiday decorations without being shoulder to shoulder with the entire state of New Jersey.
So we have our 4 distinct dates. But if we're really decoding 2026, picking the right day on the calendar is only half the battle. Because it doesn't matter if the park is perfectly empty if your favorite ride is boarded up behind a construction wall.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, picking the right date isn't just about crowd size, it's about operational reality, what is actually open. Operational shifts in 2026 are going to drastically alter the fundamental value of your ticket on any given day.
Let's talk about Universal first, because their 2026 calendar is full of some massive missing pieces.
It really is.
Like if you go in early February, the Hogwarts Express is closed for refurbishment.
Right.
Revenge of the Mummy is down in mid-January. Volcano Bay, their entire water park, is completely closed until March 2027.
Which is huge.
And then there's Jurassic Park River Adventure, which is down almost the entire year from January 5th all the way until November 19th. That is a huge chunk of their classic high-capacity lineup just taken offline. Why would a park intentionally close classic rides for an entire year?
It is a significant operational hit, absolutely. But you have to view those closures through the lens of corporate strategy and the ongoing theme park wars.
Okay.
Universal is intentionally taking those hits on their legacy attractions because they are relying on the massive gravitational pull of Epic Universe, their brand new park.
Right. It's like they're saying, pardon our dust on the older rides, look at the shiny new toy over here.
Exactly.
And then in the fall, they have Halloween Horror Nights, which the historical data notes is their busiest and most incredibly lucrative season.
Precisely. They know Epic Universe will draw millions of people regardless of whether the Jurassic Park River Adventure is running. They are shifting their maintenance resources now so the legacy parks can be refreshed after the initial Epic Universe rush.
That makes total sense.
Now, contrast that strategy with what Disney is doing. Disney's approach for the summer of 2026 is an aggressive counterattack of new additions to keep people from migrating off their property.
It's a really heavy lineup. They are deploying a new Mandalorian mission on the Millennium Falcon ride, a Muppets takeover of the Rock and Roller Coaster, the debut of a new Soaring Across America film, plus new character meet and greets like Bluey at Animal Kingdom.
Yep.
And they're even throwing in a free water park day on your check-in day. Disney is using every tool in their arsenal to pull focus back from Universal.
And beyond just adding rides, there is a massive financial lever Disney is pulling that is going to fundamentally shift the crowd dynamics across the entire year.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Disney is offering a free kids dining plan for qualifying 2026 vacation packages. When I first read that, I thought, oh, nice perk. You save a few bucks on chicken tenders.
Yeah.
But it's much more than a perk, isn't it? It's a strategy.
It is arguably the most powerful psychological and financial incentive Disney possesses.
Really?
Think about the friction points for a middle-class family pricing out a vacation. The hotel and the tickets are fixed costs. But food, feeding a family of 4 at a theme park can easily cost hundreds of dollars a day.
Oh, easily.
When Disney completely erases that cost from the budget, it suddenly makes a trip viable for thousands of families who otherwise would have stayed home.
It's like a dam holding back a reservoir of tourists. The moment they announce free food, the dam breaks and floods the parks, regardless of what the historical crowd calendar says.
It absolutely does. It artificially inflates the baseline attendance. It means those 4 sweet spots we just mapped out aren't just polite suggestions anymore. They're vital survival tools.
Because the baseline is just higher now.
Exactly. Because the absolute lowest crowd level at Disney in 2026 is going to be significantly higher than it was in 2025, purely because of that dining promotion.
Okay, so we've mapped the dates, we know what's open, what's closed, and we understand the financial traps being set by the parks.
Yeah.
Let's say you, the listener, have picked a sweet spot, and you've navigated the calendar perfectly. You arrive at the park, you still need a battle plan for the ground.
You do. Knowing when to go is your macro strategy, Now we need the micro tactics. And the most important tactic the data advocates for is the power of the on-property break.
The midday escape.
Exactly. Theme park endurance is a very real physical limitation. The brutal Florida heat combined with the constant sensory overload, it physically breaks people down.
It really does.
Taking a break in the middle of the day for a nap or some pool time is a crucial endurance strategy. The research specifically points to staying at the new Helios Grand Hotel, which is built literally right into Epic Universe.
It was just so cool.
You don't have to wait for a bus. You can walk out of the park, go straight to your room, sleep through the hottest, most crowded part of the day, and then return refreshed when the sun goes down and the crowds thin out.
It's about conserving energy so you aren't miserable by 6 p.m. But what about the lines? Because even on a quiet day during a sweet spot, you're going to wait. The breakdown dives into this ultimate time-money matrix between Disney and Universal's line-skipping systems.
It's all about understanding how you can leverage their fast-track systems, Disney's Lightning Lane versus Universal's Express Pass. And the mechanisms for both are entirely different.
With Disney, it's all about the booking windows. If you stay on a Disney property, you get to book your Lightning Lanes 7 days in advance.
Right.
If you stay off property, you only get 3 days. That 4-day head start means the inventory for the most popular rides, like that new Mandalorian mission, is literally gone before off-property guests even open the app.
It creates a massive, almost insurmountable advantage for on-property guests. But Universal's system operates differently, and frankly, it offers a loophole that is incredibly powerful if you do the math.
Yes. If you're doing the math in your head right now for a family of 4, you're probably realizing that skip-the-line passes often cost more than the actual hotel room.
Often way more.
But there is a back door to this system. The data calls it the signature hotel loophole. If you book a stay at one of Universal's signature hotels, like the Hard Rock Hotel, the Royal Pacific, or Portofino Bay, your entire party gets free, unlimited express passes included with the room.
Let's break down exactly why that math is so significant for the listener.
Let's say those unlimited passes cost $200 per person per day. For a family of 4, that is $800 a day just to skip the lines. A room at the Hard Rock might cost $450.
Right.
But here is the absolute best part. Those free passes are valid on the day you check in and the day you check out.
That's the key.
So you book a single one-night stay for $450, and you get 2 full days of unlimited express passes for everybody in the room. You are literally saving over $1,000 while skipping every line. That is a straight-up cheat code.
It is a phenomenal hack, but we need to clarify the crucial fine print. This loophole works brilliantly for Universal Studios Florida and Islands of Adventure. And yes, it does include Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure, which is a massive win because that ride almost never has a short line.
Never.
But it does not work for the new Epic Universe.
Of course.
Yeah.
Epic Universe is the shiny new toy. They aren't giving away unlimited line skipping to their billion-dollar expansion just yet. So how do you hack Epic Universe if you can't buy your way to the front?
For Epic Universe, the ultimate hack is all about time, not passes. The strategy here is that staying at any Universal hotel, even their most budget-friendly options, grants you 1 hour of early admission to the parks before the general public is allowed through the gates.
1 golden hour.
And in the context of a brand new park like Epic Universe, that hour is essential. It is the only reliable mechanism to beat the masses into Super Nintendo World or to get on Stardust Racers and explore Dark Universe before the walkways become completely gridlocked.
Yeah, makes sense.
That 1 hour head start is the most valuable currency you can possess at that new park.
So what does this all mean? We've looked at the hidden matrix of the calendar. We've pulled apart the historical data and the corporate strategies. For you, the listener, a successful 2026 Orlando trip is clearly not about luck. You can't just throw a dart at a calendar, book a flight, and hope for the best.
If you do that, you'll inevitably end up stuck behind a massive family who just spent their tax return, standing in the middle of a hurricane, staring at a closed Jurassic Park ride, while everyone else passes you in the express lane.
Exactly. It's about zigging when the masses zag. It's leveraging the historical math to avoid those tax return spikes. It's understanding that a free dining plan is actually a warning sign for massive crowds. And it's doing the math on those hotel loopholes that literally pay for themselves and skip lines and save time. You are now equipped to beat the system.
This raises an important question, though, a philosophical one almost for the future of vacations.
Okay, hit me.
As these travel hacks become more widely accessible and data-driven tourists all start targeting these exact same quiet windows, how long will it be until the sweet spots disappear entirely?
Oh, wow. The optimization paradox.
Precisely. If everyone listens to the data and optimizes for the off-season, does the off-season cease to exist? If the empty weeks mathematically become the busy weeks because everyone is trying to be smart, we are going to be forced to completely rethink the future of leisure travel.
It's a chilling thought for anyone trying to plan a quiet getaway. But until that day comes and the paradox takes over, you have the data for 2026. Keep your eye on the calendar, use those hotel loopholes, and whatever you do, avoid the parks today. You don't want to be the person stuck in the matrix, staring at the back of someone's head.